Here's your midweek motivation, because The View is live. Borderline shutdown. The president threatens to shut down the government unless he gets billions for his border wall. Will Democrats give in? History repeats itself? Trump's getting slammed for using tear gas on migrants at the border. But where was the outrage when Obama did the same thing? Plus, Queer Eye's Fab Five are giving you their survival guide for getting through the holidays happy. Hump Day Hot Topics are on the table with Whoopi, Abby Huntsman, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and Meghan McCain. Now, let's get things started.
You like this one?
We love her sweater this morning.
This is one of them. Is that
a Christmas one?
Yeah, this is one of mine. And it's got pockets, it's got a hood, it's great. And, you know, I love it because it's like, I think about the incredible things that women get done, you know?
Yes, indeed.
And they seem to be able to do this. And I always wonder, well, maybe it's Mrs. Claus actually getting it all done. You know, maybe she's actually doing everything and nobody wants to say anything. Kind of like that Busy Philip conversation we had a couple of days where women don't get the credit that they deserve.
Yeah.
But
so funny.
There is a, now we're going to go to the other stuff. There's a December 7th government shutdown looming. And the guy in the White House says it will happen if he doesn't get $5 billion for his border wall. This was the biggest campaign promise he ran on. You think he's going to shut it down?
You know what? Let them shut it down. Shut it down. The Republicans did in '96, and they lost the election right after that. And, you know, and the Republicans are always saying they want smaller government. This is a good way to get it. Shut it down.
He's threatened this, though, already a couple times this year.
He has.
And then backed away. There was one point where he was asking for $25 billion, remember?
Well,
to
that's
build the wall
supposedly
for
the
security.
real cost of the wall.
How much the wall? Well, there are disputes about that. On the one hand, he said Mexico would pay for it. So the narrative has changed. But what this does, what he continues to do is, one, it riles up his base because they continue to want to hear, I'm fighting to build that wall. And then it also blames the Democrats, a message that he continues to have and one that I think he wants to keep going to 2020. A part of me wonders if he doesn't actually want a deal done so that in the end he could say, see, I fought for this. The Democrats wouldn't take the money. And here we are still. If you vote for me again, I will be the one to fight for this.
How much red meat does his base need? Are there no vegetarians in this space at all?
I don't get this whole thing. You know, at first he said Mexico was going to build the wall, right? He promised Mexico pay for the wall. So why do we have, as taxpayers, have to pay for the wall? The first thing. And the second thing is, I mean, if you look at the statistics, since I think it was 2010, more Asian immigrants than Hispanic immigrants have been coming into this country. And so for me, this issue is a racialized issue. He's concerned about black and brown people coming into the country as opposed to the other folks that are coming into the country. And that really bothers me because if he's giving his base red meat, then he's racializing this situation in my view.
The government shutdown has happened twice in 2018 alone. Democrats over DACA, and the second shutdown was in February over the country's borrowing limit for the Texas and Florida, Puerto Rico relief disaster. I will say, more than anything...
What about the one I mentioned, 1996?
I know, I'm just saying in 2018, the recent time it happened. I hate maybe like 4 degrees below terrorism, I hate government shutdowns. Because A, I think we're not electing these people to not work, number one, on a very basic level. Number two, it affects state parks. It affects military people getting paid. Have you ever seen the picture of the little boy trying to go to the Washington, D.C. zoo? He sees the panda and he can't go in. There are ripple effects all the way around. Get in and do your job. If I'm having a bad day and I disagree with you or something bad's happening, I come in here, I'm still on TV talking to you guys. Why do we have a different standard for the people in government?
He's just like a toddler having a tantrum. Shut it down, shut it down. He's not going going to do it. He knows he can't do it.
It's been done in the past. I hate the precedents all the way around on both sides, clearly. And I think it's very, very dangerous that if I'm not going to get what I want, we are shutting it down.
Yeah, that's right.
He is right, though, that it's up to Congress. So people that are blaming ICE, the president obviously is the commander-in-chief, and he campaigned on being able to negotiate, so he should prove that he can do that. But ultimately, it's up to Congress to figure out the laws to fix the border, and we've been dealing with the problem of the border for decades.
Figure out how to fix anything else, so I don't know why we think that's going to work for them. Nothing seems. It just, you know what it is? It just feels like, I don't know, everything to me these days is very animated, so it's like, okay, we're here, we're going to do something. Hey, maybe we're going to go, look, the squirrel. Okay, what are we going to do? I mean, that's what I feel like is going on there. It's just driving me a little bit berserk. But then on the other side, there is this other story. The National Review is calling out liberal and conservative media for what they call flawed coverage of the Obama administration. Now, they point out that Obama had Border Patrol agents use tear gas at the border, too. And no one was interested in covering it then. What do you think?
Is there evidence of that? Because I saw a picture. I'll show you this photo that's circulating right now. These two little girls, shoeless, fleeing from tear gas. Do they have a photo like that when Obama was in office?
No, but the Homeland Security data does validate that it happened multiple times, more than once a month, in fact, during the Obama years.
Here's another thing I read in that piece. It said
facts are stubborn things, guys. I mean,
it said and we can call out, BS on both, to be honest. Because of the president's rhetoric, I think we're shining such a light on this.
It's a big difference.
But in that piece, it said over a period of 4 months in 2014 under the Obama years, HHS allegedly placed a number of unaccompanied children in the hands of a ring of human traffickers who forced them to work on egg farms in and around Ohio, leading to a federal criminal indictment. And according to the indictment, the minor victims were forced to work 6-7 hours a week, 12 hours per day. These are things that we don't talk about. But the challenges are very real.
Last I checked, President Obama is no longer in office.
Exactly.
President Trump is in office. And
he's destroying the country.
And he's destroying the country. And this Obama defense, doesn't work for me. That's not to say using tear gas. I think it's immoral when you're using tear gas against children. But ProPublica just found that the Trump administration has secretly continued to separate kids from their families. The Obama administration never did that.
But I'm just,
the ACLU says that kind of separation is unprecedented. So this whole, but Obama did it, but Obama did it. I don't care what Obama did. I don't care what Trump is doing right here, right now.
I think it's strange to say that you don't care that it was happening before. Sorry, I'll let the applause line happen. But and again, not the but I'm saying the coverage didn't even mention that this has been going on since 2012.
But neither did the Republicans. The Republicans have never mentioned this. Listen, with all the stuff
if you're infuriated now, you should have been infuriated then. That's all I'm saying.
Actually, what infuriates me, here's what infuriates me: the fact that we knew Obama was the deporter-in-chief. That was very clear. He deported more people than anybody.
Yeah.
Okay? He did it without saying those people. He did it without whipping people up into hatred. That's the difference. So that when you say, oh, Obama did... Thanks. So this idea of, well, he did it, well, yeah, he probably did. And we're aware that he was a deporting fool if you read the statistics. He deported folks. Everybody said, hey, we don't like this part of it. But I also remember there was no help from Congress. There was no help from the Senate. Nobody was there saying, hey, we're going to stand with you. So where were the Republicans if they knew this was happening and they felt that it was wrong?
I guess they didn't think it was wrong.
Where were they then?
Did Democrats think it was wrong? I mean,
we don't know.
This is the first time I'm seeing all this. So
and maybe
this is my
maybe that's the whole point of the conversation. Maybe what the problem is let's point out the hypocrisy. And unless you're sitting in the president's seat, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, and you're faced with the challenges that they are today when it comes to the border and immigration, and you're talking to the experts on the border and they're telling you how to handle this, I think it's hard to sit on the sidelines and yell and complain about what's going on until you're actually in their shoes.
I will yell
I'm not defending the rhetoric
about separating children from their parents.
You know what? But it doesn't mean. First of all, we're talking about tear gas. We're talking about tear gas. I wasn't talking about children being separated. And the other thing I want to say is that I come on here a lot and concede when Republicans are making mistakes. I did it yesterday. The woman who just became senator of Mississippi. I did it when I was talking about Hillary Clinton. It would be nice if my friends on the left once in a while conceded that they were wrong.
It's just, it's not that.
I'm sorry, wait a minute.
Wait a second. We're not responding to that. We're responding to the whataboutism that goes on.
I think it's a fair comparison that you're not mad when Obama did it, but you are mad when Trump did it.
We would have been.
I'm calling BS on that. You want to finish this conversation?
No.
Yes.
And this is The View. We'll be right back.
Later, facing facts. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders gets fact-checked in real time for her climate change comments. But will it make any difference? After facing presidents.
Okay, next.
Movie stars.
Oh, baby.
Just start rubbing it on it.
Pop stars.
I just found out that Lady Gaga and I have the same gynecologist. I'm just sharing.
And we're that.
And even doing this.
It's true. It's real.
It's not very pretty, but it's real.
Yeah, she's seen it, been there, done that. So if you're Joy Behar, what do you do to celebrate 20 years on The View?
I drink a glass of wine and take off my brassiere. What do you do?
Well, tomorrow, we're saying, oh, joy, with a celebration 20 years in the making.
I was Barbara Walters' favorite. Just saying.
You were. Tomorrow on The View, only on ABC. Still ahead, Queer Eye's Fab Five are showing you how to love yourself and love your life.
Welcome back. Thanks for flying. A second ago, we were looking for Abby's sister, who is here. And we looked, yes, Abby's sister is here. So we looked, and we thought it was this young lady here, because she kind of looks like Abby.
Well, the great story is they tweeted me yesterday, and they said, we're on our honeymoon. We're in New York just for another day. Our wish is to come to The View. And The View made it happen. So they're on their honeymoon.
My sister's in the back. But it all made sense because we could find you.
Is there.
So Abby's sister is here, but she's back there.
So hi, baby.
It's a family
We just want to say
affair.
hi to everybody. So, this is so weird. I can only hear with a quarter
you're
of my
stuffy.
ear, and I can't hear anything on this side, and my nose feels this big. So,
sorry.
with that being said, yesterday, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders shrugged off the disturbing climate change report that was just released, but CNN found a way to fact-check her in real time. Take a look.
And you have to look at the fact that this report is based on the most extreme modeled scenario, which contradicts long-established trends. Modeling the climate is an extremely complicated science that is never exact. The biggest thing that we can do is focus on how to make sure we have the cleanest air, the cleanest water, and the president is certainly doing that and certainly leading on that front. We think that this is the most extreme version, and it's not based on facts.
Oh, no. Well, this is the most aggravating topic of all because it affects everybody. I think these people would rather have $1 billion in the bank than breathe. I really do. Well, they'd rather have money than breathe.
Do you think that Al Gore would rather have $100 million in the bank than breathe? Because he sold Current TV for $500 million to Al Jazeera, which is its gross domestic product is oil and gas. He made oil money selling, and he's Mr. Climate Change porn himself, number one.
I happen to know about this because my show was canceled.
I happen to know about this
Wait a second. I had a show on Current TV that was bought by Al Jazeera because Al Gore sold it to them. So I'm no fan of Al Gore personally,
but he's the king of climate change. But he's the king of climate change. But there's so much hypocrisy on the left with this. I'm sorry, Leonardo DiCaprio had 418 tons of CO2 last year. Every celebrity and person and advocate on the left, if you want us to start
DiCaprio in office, he's a
huge climate change.
But he can make policy. He's not.
You want to change hearts and minds? Stop lecturing Americans.
I do take private planes. I'm not gonna lie. Because I don't want to be on a plane where I got to talk to 1 million people when I have to get where I'm going. So, yeah, there are some things that I'm going to be guilty of because I do not, contrary to popular belief, I don't walk on water. I try, but I don't. So, yeah, there is a lot of garbage there. But what's happening is we are dismantling things that have been put in place that were working. And I think that's the biggest bitch, more than whether Leo did it or I did it or Kanye and
Leo does. Well, and you do it because you have a fear of flying that everybody knows. But this is my issue with this. Climate change is not a left or a right issue. So to point out hypocrisy on the left or point out hypocrisy on the right, I have kids that are inheriting, you know, shorter winters, longer summers. They're not going to be able to breathe. You know, the water is heating up. That's what we need to be talking about. Not that Al Gore sold something or that Leo is.
I'm sorry, this is about so climate change. Please stop clapping so I can finish. Al Gore made an inconvenient truth. He's the biggest. He's the face of climate change. Hands down, he made a movie that was wildly popular, won an Oscar. The United States is on track to make our emissions target for the Paris Climate Agreement. Most European countries aren't. So in the Paris Climate Treatment Accord, the Americans in the United States are meeting our limitations, but European countries are not, and there's no repercussions for that. So please don't sit here and lecture me.
Because they're polluting.
I'm saying we're meeting our emissions targets. The United States is meeting,
why is he allowing mining waste to be dumped into
You don't care about
streams?
European countries, but you care that America doesn't.
I'm an American. Let them worry about
the problem is the oceans everyone contributes to, and that's the problem is we can make all these efforts. I guess it has to start somewhere. My biggest issue with this is the report that Sarah Sanders is talking about is within their own government. It's within their own administration, coming from their people. So to say that the facts don't matter, I actually think that the GOP is not going to have a choice but to evolve on this issue. Same with gay marriage, because the next generation is going to speak up. When my dad ran for president, he wouldn't have won anyway, but people said the nail in the coffin for him was when he tweeted, "To be clear, as a Republican, I believe in evolution. I trust scientists on global warming. Call me crazy." They said that was it for him.
You don't trust the guy who looks into the sun to see the eclipse?
Here's my take on that.
That's the one to trust.
You look at the global politics of this. Paris was on fire over the weekend over this very issue because Macron is trying to tax average Parisians. Now, I believe in climate change as well. I also don't believe that when people like Al Gore and people like Leonardo DiCaprio with this kind of carbon footprint, that average Americans in between should be penalized, or average Parisians. Do a little research. On fire over the weekend, tear gassing protesters over this.
But see, we all agree that climate change exists. Sarah Sanders sat there and lied to the American people and said that they weren't based on facts. She doesn't believe the science. That's what people should be very concerned about.
These people are running, not Al Gore and not Leo DiCaprio.
If you don't care, again, fine. But I'm just saying, I believe in climate change. It's not that I don't have a problem believing in science and believing in climate change. I have a problem across the board with the messaging from the left to average Americans. It's happening in Europe. It will happen here 100%.
How about this? How about this?
I see it as a left-right issue.
It actually isn't a left-right issue, because when the air goes to crap, left-right people are breathing it. So it's everybody's thing. And so what I'm trying to say is the bitch about this, again, is we are on track to do stuff. But when we have an administration that is sort of unraveling all of the things that we've put together.
We're meeting the Paris Climate Agreement.
I understand, but I'm also looking at the air quality in this country, how it is shifting, and it is beginning to shift because things I know, never mind. We'll be right back. Before we went on, our EP says to me, well, you know, people may get very upset with you because you say you take a private plane because you want to talk to people. That's right. I don't. Sometimes because people talk to me all day long. Yeah. And sometimes that 5 hours is the only time I don't have to do anything but go somewhere. But when I'm going, I don't want other people seeing me go, oh, my God. Yeah. I don't want to be over here. Oh, my God. Because that's how I fly. Yeah. So you don't want to be on a plane with me either. Just FYI. Anyway.
Yeah. Looking is not like the fun. Didn't that come up because of the Kardashians, though? That's so
that came up because of the whole carbon footprint conversation. But there's more proof that humans are contributing to the environmental disaster, Joy.
Okay. Don't look at me.
The Arizona dad who used a high-powered shotgun and explosives to reveal a gender. Take a look.
So what was
that reveal? Well, it was supposed to tell you that they're having a baby boy.
It was a boy.
Because it was like blue powder.
But that reveal caused a 45,000-acre fire that took 800 firefighters to put it out.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
what
in
an
my home
idiot.
state, man.
Who is this idiot?
Yeah.
I mean, didn't he notice that there was a lot of dry brush?
Exactly.
Well, there's fire hazard warnings
Everywhere,
in Arizona. You
right?
can't light off fireworks a lot of places
didn't
because of that.
understand
He also just wasted about 2 kids' tuition because he's got to pay over $200,000 over the years to make up
Well,
for
it's
it.
$8 million. He caused $8 million worth of damage.
Ridiculous. You know, when I revealed Isabel's gender last year,
Don't tell me you did that.
no, but I thought at the time I was being ridiculous because
Megan, get a shotgun. I want
totally,
to
Megan, don't give me your gun.
gender.
Like my sister got a cupcake, you know, filled it with the color, and I had my sister buy a dress, either blue or pink, and I thought I was being crazy because people didn't used to do gender reveals, and now they've become this like huge party, and obviously.
Well, you know why
it's
people didn't
spectacle.
used to do gender reveals? Because you didn't know.
They didn't know.
Yeah.
And what didn't they use? And they used to do it straight, remember?
Yeah, but this is the days when, you know, Joy and I can speak to this, where they basically wheeled you into the hospital.
Woke you up later.
Woke you up later, shot you up, and then you went and they said, push. And you pushed and they were like, oh, it's a boy.
See? I feel like that's one of the best surprises in the world. Like, it's so difficult to be surprised today. And I know when I was having Gabriel, I didn't want to know. I made the mistake of bringing my doctor husband into the sonogram, and he was like, oh, there it is. And I was like, no. You know, because he spilled
Like
it.
he saw his gender
He saw the
you saw his
stuff.
penis.
He saw the junk.
Yeah.
And
He was well endowed.
and he kind of ruined it for me because I truly
You like
just
a
wanted
surprise.
It's the only
See, I
one
couldn't
that
wait.
can be
Surprise. The surprise is when they say, you're pregnant. That's the surprise.
And on that note, we'll be back.
He really
You know what? It is kind of a sad Bikini Bottom day because the man who created SpongeBob SquarePants, Steven Hillenburg, succumbed to ALS at 57 years old. He created SpongeBob, which has been, for lots of kids, a joyous and fun event, whether you're watching it on television or on stage. He did a wonderful thing. He created this great character.
There's that
so
great
he'll be
show on
missed.
Broadway, isn't there?
Yes,
Still there?
yeah, no, it's gone. But, you know, he did all that. He was part of all
And
that.
it will live on, thank
so
you.
young.
It will. And son, tell everybody what you've been up to.
Yesterday, I emceed the UNICEF Snowflake Gala, and UNICEF is just such an incredible organization. It's been around for 70 years, and it does so much for children in 190 countries all around the globe. Last night, we raised almost $4 million. It was the biggest raise ever. But one thing I just want to mention very quickly, we had a young girl, her name's Ilse Martinez. She's from Honduras. And what was so incredible was she came here at 8 years old, didn't speak any English, has now become top of her class on Long Island, and she told her story and told about how difficult her life was in Honduras, but also said when she hears people talking about migrants and refugees as criminals and gangsters, it is so hurtful to her, but that she's doing everything she can to be an example for Americans that this is what a migrant or a refugee looks like. And I just, my hat
You
was
know,
off.
the UN is all
UNICEF is amazing.
It's amazing group.
It's amazing. So,
Now, I have a public service announcement right now. The next time you go into your fridge, take out all of that Thanksgiving leftover food and throw that crap in the trash. It's spoiling. It's over. Next comes Christmas. Get rid of it. And just so you know, I'm not being just a cold-hearted person. No more than 3 to 4 days after the turkey is cooked. It should be in the trash by the end of Monday. Delicious.
But what if you repurpose it into a soup?
It says
Then you can fry it.
gravy, if it's homemade, is okay after 1 or 2 days. Cranberry sauce, good to eat up to 14 days after your meal. Stuffing and dressing, very important. Good to eat up to 3 or 4 days after, but after that, throw it out. Mashed potatoes, though, I don't know who's keeping those mashed potatoes. But typically, it's good to eat about 3 to 5 days after being cooked.
My mashed potatoes last night were good. I used your mother's recipe.
Oh, yeah, you did.
I did.
Yes.
Her mother gave me a recipe. It was blue cheese mashed potatoes.
With bacon.
And it tasted good last night.
Listen.
I ate it yesterday, too.
That's right, and that's why you gassy today.
I was not
We'll be right back.
Queer Eye's Fab Five are on a mission to paint red states pink. So how's that going? They're live on The View. Next.
Guys,
This week on The View, things get marvelous with Rachel Brosnahan and Tony Shalhoub. And Joy celebrates 20 years on The View.
I was Barbara Walters' favorite. Just saying.
You were.
This week on The View.
got your...
When you put a gaggle of gay guys in a trailer in the middle of Appalachian Trail Mountains, honey, we are going to give you a fashion show.
Get it, get it, get it, walk it, walk it.
Jonathan does not stand by full shirts. It has to be a crop.
You're like Christy and Naomi.
He wants full exposure of your midriff.
Every day.
Reboot of the reality makeover show Queer Eye has become a feel-good pop culture phenomenon, and now they're sharing some behind-the-scenes advice in their new book, Queer Eye, Love Yourself, Love Your Life. Please welcome Queer Eye's Fab Five.
True story. It's because Anthony told me what to do, and so no, he told me to sit in front of him, and so I did. But he heard the wrong thing. It happens sometimes.
All the time for me.
No. We get lost sometimes in public. It's okay.
Yeah, we do.
I so badly want to come hug you guys. I love the show with all the negativity in the world. Your show is inspirational. It's unconditional love. The people in the audience love you guys. So thank you. But Karama, let's start with you, because what a year it's been, 2018, for you guys. It has been such a good year. You won 3 Emmys in the cast. You have just been named Entertainers of the Year by Out Magazine. Karama, what has all this attention been like?
It's been amazing for us. I mean, for 5 gay guys to go into rural America and feel as if we're making a change and bridging people together, it feels really good. And then you're doing it with your brothers, people you love. It's pretty amazing.
You do go into Trump country, don't you?
We do all the time.
How does that work out? How does that work out for you?
Oh, it's hard sometimes because, you know, you're greeting people who don't have the views that we have.
Yeah.
But yet we go in there with empathy and love, and we say we're going to find our common ground instead of looking at the differences so that we can grow together.
We go in not defining somebody by a vote or a side. We go in defining them as people, and in turn, they begin to define us as people, and bridges start to get
I heard
gapped.
that one of them was wearing a Make America Great hat. What'd you do with that person?
He put it on.
I threw the hat away, but
Make sangria.
But that guy actually, ironically, he and I are best friends.
Are you dating him now?
No. He's straight. I'm a happily engaged man.
You are, and you said you're a bridezilla, though.
I am a bridezilla. I'm sorry. I've been dreaming about my wedding since I was, oh, there goes my baby, since I was 12, 13 years old. And the minute I got to start planning a wedding, I mean, I went full force. The other day on Thanksgiving, we actually spent the first 3 hours of Thanksgiving in the emergency room because he had a panic attack. We thought it was a stroke or heart attack.
What are you doing to him?
I know. And then the doctor's like, what have you been talking about? And he was like, the wedding. But I can't help it. I just rented a big carnival wheel. It's like, I mean, it's going to be...
Carnival wheel.
Yeah.
Carnival wheel.
She's a Ferris wheel. Ferris wheel? Yes, a Ferris wheel. Yeah. Give me a moment.
It's going to be so fun.
Are we invited? Now I want to go.
You love it. All of you are invited to our wedding.
Okay. I mean, the other great thing about this show is you give people the opportunity to get to know you as people. You know, because I think most people don't realize that gay people have been around us all of our lives, and a lot of times have had to hide. And so you suddenly meet folks, and you think, okay, here's what I'm doing, what can you do? And I know you had an experience with the preacher, yes? You want to tell me?
You know, what we're really trying to do is for the people out there who have never seen us as people. We're just that group of individuals they don't agree with, they don't know anything about us, they just know that their church told them...
liberal.
Yeah, they just told them that their church thinks that we're wrong. So and especially growing up very religious in the church 7 days a week, and then having the whole church turn their back on me, having a preacher message me, slid into my DMs and said, my whole life I was taught in
direct
church.
Message.
Yeah.
Direct message.
Yeah.
Poor usage of the expression, but
I know. That preacher did not slide into your DMs.
Oh, yeah. My whole life I was taught in church that homosexuality is a sin, that they're pedophiles, that they're heathens, that they're definitely going to hell, and that they choose to be that way. And in turn, my church, I have preached the exact same way. And hearing you talk about how every single day of your life you cried and you begged and you pleaded and you prayed for God not to make you gay, but you still are.
Yes. I grew up Mormon.
Current husband.
You're a Pakistani Muslim. You are out about who you are and your life. What has the response been, not just from folks in Utah who have their opinions about things, but just around the world?
You know, I honestly thought that I'd have a really strong adverse reaction to me. You haven't really seen this before in mainstream, on a mainstream show, a big commercial show. So I was expecting the worst, and I am so lucky to have received the most beautifully warm welcome from people all over the world. I expected it from... Thanks. I was hopeful to receive that from Americans because sometimes they are wanting to be super, super liberal, so they're going to throw loads of love my way. But I wasn't expecting that from places like the Middle East and other very Muslim countries, and they've been truly wonderful. I get loads of DMs every day saying it's so nice to see a version of me on the TV. I prayed for that as a kid. I so desperately wanted to see a version of this on TV, and I never did, and I didn't know what my life would be.
Aren't going to be stuck when you say, here's an opportunity for you to learn, and I'm not going to judge you for learning. And that's what we do the entire...
And I'm going to give you time to learn. Remember, this is new for lots of people still.
And we're not lecturing them on the show. I don't lecture them. I don't say, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. It's just, here I am. This is me as a person. If you love me, great. If you don't, let's talk about it.
And sometimes sexuality comes up after them getting to know us, and it's just...
secondary.
So let me ask you something, because the other day... we were talking about the Thanksgiving Day parade, and there was this kiss from the show Prom.
Yeah.
The Prom, I guess it's called.
Yeah.
And a lot of people thought it was, very wrong to do. A lot of people thought it was great. I wonder what you think of it.
I mean, I think it's a reminder that the rest of the country is not New York, and we need to remember that. But I think, like,
Why? I'm so done making the people comfortable.
Wait. But like, you think like 50 years ago, someone like Yayoi Kusama hosted the first gay wedding. Like, we've made a lot of advancements, but we're not quite there yet. But shows like Dear Evan Hansen, which illuminate and shed some light on teen suicide and like the horrible pill problem for today's today's youth. And then for a show like this to normalize that, I think it's only a good thing. And let's just show more of it.
I've never seen it in the Macy's Thanksgiving
Right, it's
Day
the
parade.
third highest telecast.
And all those people who say we're not New York, they love to come to New York and see these shows.
Absolutely, yeah.
If this were a heterosexual couple kissing on national TV, we wouldn't have had a concern.
We wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah,
I feel like I've had to endure a lot of heterosexual kissing.
Actually, you would have. If it had been an interracial kiss, we'd be having this conversation.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, listen, the bottom line is we have to be more patient than everybody else is with us.
Yep.
You know, because they don't know what you know or what I know, what Joy knows or what Abby knows. And so we always have to remember.
Grace, I mean, how much do we have to
We have the ability to teach people through the arts, whether it's movies, something like Broadway, where families come from all over the
country. We talk so much about changing hearts and unconditional love on this show, and it is shows like Queer Eye that's actually doing that in this country and around the world. So thank you guys for all that you do. Our thanks to the Fab Five, and of course you can catch the first 2 seasons of Queer Eye on Netflix and the Queer Eye book is out now. Everyone in our audience is going home with a copy.
Celebrate 2 decades of joy.
Stop saying that. It can't be 20 years.
As Ms. Behar hits her landmark. Stars of one of her favorite shows, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Rachel Brosnahan, and Tony Shalhoub are joining the party. Plus, we're taking an epic look back at Joy's most unforgettable moments.
I can't sit here. I just walked off.
And how she changed the game on daytime TV and for women everywhere. The Joy of 20 tomorrow.
You know what? Welcome back. It just, you know, this show, we are kind of nutty on this show. We talk about all kinds of crazy stuff. We talk to wonderful people, and we have a good time. And what we want to say to people is you also can have a good time having these conversations with your friends. After all, the world is about having a good view. So thanks for watching. Thanks for coming. We want everybody to have a great day and take a little time to enjoy the view.